Portland attorney and businessman Rene Gonzalez is another political newcomer who beat the odds to become Portland's newest city commissioner. He beat Joanne Hardesty by some 9 percentage points in a city where voters obviously are not satisfied with the status quo. Today, we'll get into the big changes headed for City Hall. Rene Gonzalez, welcome back to Eye on Northwest Politics. And first of all, congratulations on the win.
Thanks so much, and thank you for hosting me again.
Well, City Council failed to approve this week the first $27 million installment on the mayor's mega homeless plan to establish homeless camps and ban camping on the sidewalks. Would you have voted for that initial funding? And what do you think of the homeless plan overall?
I'm supportive of the direction mayor is going, and I haven't studied every parts of the aspects that were before City Council yesterday. This is going to be an ongoing process, to say the least. But directionally, I think the mayor, Commissioner Ryan, and City Council are starting to head in the right direction.
What do you think the city should do regarding the homeless issue?
Well, it's a multi-faceted challenge for the city of Portland, and our neighborhoods, our public spaces, our parks are overwhelmed with unsanctioned camps. It needs to be taken very seriously. There's extensive crime being committed in some of our unsanctioned camps that needs to be addressed right now from a criminal justice perspective. But to meet our Ninth Circuit obligations, to meet our Oregon law obligations, to meet our humanitarian obligations, we absolutely have to prioritize the build of shelter as quickly as possible. And that may mean the city taking that more directly than in the past. We have to continue to evaluate the relationship with the Joint Office on Homelessness. But last but not least, we've got some serious rent increases hitting Portland residents, hitting the metro area, coming down the pipe. I think we should all be paying attention to some real eviction risk in the marketplace, and we need to be working at the city, county, and state on whatever rental assistance we can make available to those that are impacted. The last thing we need to do is add to the homeless problem right now. And the market is going to have some adjustments right now. They're going to impact a lot of on the margin folks.
Yeah, should private property owners be involved in this discussion?
Yes, I mean, landlords, developers are all part of the equation. They are stakeholders in this. We have to continue we very much need to be supporting tenants that are on the margins with these large market rental increases. The landlords and developers are necessary constituents. They are necessary stakeholders as we forge a solution to this affordability crisis.
You campaigned on a law and order platform. Your opponent was a noted police critic. What do you think we should do regarding crime and vandalism in the city? And do you advocate more police on the streets?
Without question, we need more police officers and public safety officers in general, whether that's sworn or unsworn, and in conjunction with potentially neighborhood watch and other private security elements. We simply have insufficient public safety resources right now on the streets of Portland for our population, for where the city is. So it's absolutely a necessary investment. I think we are getting some success in recruiting police officers again to the city of Portland. We need to continue to create an environment that is conducive to recruiting and retaining high quality public safety officers. I think my election was a step in the right direction there, but that is a necessary part of the equation. The other side, we've talked a bit about municipal court, reintroducing that in the city of Portland to go specifically after low-level crimes. I'm ambivalent of whether we do that alone or if we continue to allow the circuit courts and the DA to run point on that. But these property crimes are deeply corrosive and they've become extremely demoralizing for small business owners, for residents in the city of Portland. So we need to elevate the seriousness of them. I think if we do that, we'll also help drive diversion to addiction services, which is another big piece in this equation right now.
Commissioner Hardesty was instrumental in establishing the Portland Street Response Team. Do you agree with that concept, and do you think that Portland Street Response should be expanded?
I think it's a solid concept. Anytime we can have non-police intervention with those suffering from mental illness and mental distress, it's a viable path. there continues to be other interventions that are going to be necessary along the line, including long-term mental illness treatment and addiction services. Those are, street response is a first intervention, but it doesn't necessarily fix the whole system. So I support the program. I support there was a comparable county program as well, but they are but pieces to the equation. In terms of further expansion, I'm supportive of its current size and continue to assess the ROI from it versus some other investments that are necessary. And again, we cannot talk enough about the need for true addiction services in the entire state, including the city of Portland, and mental illness services to help some really broken people. And the first response, whether you're talking street response, fire, police, is a component, but we really need to work on building some of these people back up. And the initial intervention isn't sufficient in that regard.
We're not only reeling from homelessness in this city, but we're again on a record pace of gun-related homicides in Portland. What's your take on how we deal with that?
Well, so still have to have a police component to that. And, we need to protection for gun and gang reduction teams, the specialists that have been cut and have gradually been restored. I think that the drug trade is feeding part of this, and we had some success this week on a major law enforcement intervention in conjunction with federal authorities to disrupt what looks like a fentanyl trade on this in Old Town. I think going after that drug trade is important, not just to cut off access to fentanyl and meth in the city of Portland, but also it will disrupt some of the gang violence that's coming with it. So I think we've got to put the foot to the gas on that in terms of criminal justice intervention. Hopeful that Measure 114 will have a positive effect. I think it's going to face some legal challenges there, but we hope some reasonable hope that will have an impact on the streets of Portland. And our unsanctioned camps are still a substantial portion of our homicides right now, both gun and stabbings, and getting those unsanctioned camps into more structured environments where weapons aren't allowed, I think is going to have a positive impact. Last but not least, again, we've gone through a really rough time in the city of Portland, the pandemic, closed businesses, schools, and cultural organizations, and everything we can do to get those things going again, open for business again, open for life again in the city of Portland. I think our long-term remedies to crime of all sorts, including gun violence. So I think it's going to be a combination of all of those things.
Lastly, and this is the last thing that we'll talk about, Portland voters said yes to changing Portland's form of government, going from 5 commissioners to 12, 4 different districts, hiring a city manager to run bureaus. Do you see this as an improvement, and are you concerned about navigating that transition?
Well, I'll start with the second question. It's going to be a bunch of work. There's no two ways about it. So the voters have spoken, and so we need to take a step forward and figure out the best way to implement this over the 2-year period. There are a number of folks in the city of Portland who have been working on this in anticipation of charter reform passing. I was briefed a little bit on what's going on there earlier this week. And so it's going to be a heavy lift while we face these other livability challenges of crime and homelessness. But we had an antiquated form of government. It needed updating, and voters have spoken. I think we'll find some things in implementation that may require some deeper thought. But let's put the best foot forward on implementing this thing and fulfilling the voters' preference here.
Thank you very much, Rene Gonzalez. Again, congratulations and welcome back to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thanks so much, Ken.